you so much for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Firecrackers. And now we want to talk about the World Bank comment on Nigeria's electricity. So according to them, they said that Nigeria's electricity subsidy is wasteful, regressive, warning that the subsidy, if it continues, is going to undermine the hard-won economic gains from ongoing reform. And according to the Electricity Regulatory Commission of Nigeria, we spend approximately 200 million naira on subsidies monthly. So I'm going to be starting with Dr. Felix. What are your thoughts on World Bank comment on Nigeria spending money for electricity subsidy?
Number one, I think the Electricity Regulatory Commission of Nigeria should come out to really explain what subsidy. Because where I live in Lagos, in Ikeja here, I'm told we're on band A, and I spent almost like 100 and something thousand every month, from 30,000 that we're spending before we migrated to this band A. Okay, so how much? And on that, you see how to run your generator on alternatives of power. So what the government of Nigeria should do is not to listen to IMF. You can't run this country on IMF suggestion or directive or whatever. But we can tap into the other sources of energy, like solar, for example. Government should see how that can be done. So we have alternatives. There are alternatives to everything. We will look at the petrol. Government came out and said, look, the alternative to petrol, you can use CNG. So what is the alternative that we have that government can help to navigate and make it easy for people? So that we are not all depend on this, because we're already spending a lot. And so I don't understand what the IMF is talking about, subsidy. Who is subsidizing who? As far as concerned, we are the ones subsidizing the federal government when it comes to, I mean, seriously speaking. Because when you buy from the band A, where we are now, when you buy 5,000 naira, it gives you 22 kilowatts of power, which is not even enough for a day. So you eventually start spending 5,000 every day. In 30 days, how much is that?
That's a lot of money.
It depends on what that's a domestic consumption. We're not talking of people who run offices, who run commercial, enterprises and all of that. So you can imagine how much they will be spending on power. And yet, you won't get this power. Because they told us that while they are migrating us to band A, is that we are going to be getting either 20 hours to 24 hours of power supply every day. That is not even there. So you still have to run. Yesterday, I think between yesterday and today, I bought 30,000 naira petrol. Because I have guests, I have visitors in my house who came from UK, and the way they were fanning, each time there's no power, I was just like, okay, let me just go. And upon that, I've bought from Keja Electric Disco. I know how much. In the last 3 days, I spent like 40,000 naira. 30,000 on petrol. I bought unit this morning, 10,000 units from Nigeria, Keja Electric. That's 40,000.
And there's no guarantee that there will be electricity supply.
So, you see, and the fact that you have to go back to generator and which time before you walk from the generator and you get to the house, you will see that they restore the light. You go and change it over, you go back. Before you walk back, they've taken it. So even that headache alone, if they know how much that is doing to our emotional health, physical health, they will just this cannot be rocket science. We must get around this. Because in other jurisdictions, people have been able to have a way to have 24-hour supply. Even in Nigeria, some organizations, some religious organizations where I belong to, there's 24-hour supply of electricity that you don't have to struggle. And we have been on this since 1999. Let's even talk from 1999 when we returned to a democracy, right? From 1999, we've been having this conversation, how much has been spent. And yet, this is 2025. And somebody is still telling us there's a subsidy. I don't believe there's any subsidy on electricity from my point of view.
Okay, all right. Well, that is definitely something debatable, whether there is really electricity subsidy, because a lot of people on the band A are complaining of not even having enough electricity supply that is supposed to be for that particular band. And then we are having the World Bank saying that subsidy should still be removed completely, while we are still trying to recover from the removal of fuel subsidy. I don't know how Nigerians feel about calling for removal of subsidy on electricity as well. This is Firecrackers, and we are talking about the World Bank's comment on Nigeria's electricity subsidy. And joining us virtually, we have Dr. Akintunde Okunshola. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us at this time. Okay, all right. So to the topic that we have at hand right now, what are your thoughts on the World Bank comment on Nigeria's electricity subsidy? They describe it as wasteful. And do you think that at this point in time, Nigeria is really ready to remove another subsidy while all aspect of the economy is still trying to deal with the removal of fuel subsidy?
Thank you very much for having me. My first comment on the headline is that I think the World Bank is not advising Nigeria correctly. And several times we have advised the federal government not to listen to the World Bank because I think the World Bank is actually giving some advice that is against the policy statement of our president. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into office 2 years ago, May 29, 2023, he said, let the poor breathe. And then he further went to remove subsidy on petrol. And now subsidy was also removed on electricity for those in Band A, which are people that are categorized in 20 hours, almost 20 hours. But I can tell you that even the Aso Rock is already thinking of getting another alternative of solar power because the 20 hours is not even gotten. And now for those that are on Band B to E, that they don't even get power up till the expected time they're supposed to get it. And now the World Bank is saying that remove subsidy for these poor people because government is just wasting the subsidy. I don't think that's the right advice. What should have been the advice? That value is gotten for the subsidy that they are paying. If they are talking like that, we will know that yes, they have interest of Nigeria at heart. But those that are very poor, that they are not even getting light or up till the expected hours supposed to have it. And now the World Bank is even saying that they should remove that subsidy from them. I think it's against the poor. That advice will make Nigeria to, get more of their citizens into the poverty line, and it will make our economy to further go down the drain. I think they're also looking at once this subsidy is removed, inflation will also go up, and once this inflation goes up, it affects the value of naira. Probably because Nigeria paid IMF loan and there's a way to further make our naira to go down. That's why they are giving that advice.
That the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, said. They said that Nigeria needs to invest at least $10 billion each year over the next 10 to 20 years to effectively address the long-standing challenges that we are facing in the country. From your own perspective, how realistic do you think it is for Nigeria to spend about $10 billion, not even naira now, to try to improve our electricity sector? Is it that bad that we need that much money to revitalize it?
Yeah, the power sector actually needs a reform, and I think it's one of the sectors that Mr. President has interest in as soon as he came into office. Mr. President opened up the power sector by signing into law the Electricity Act in 2024. The Electricity Act will open the business for people that want to invest into the power sector in Nigeria, such that you can generate, you can distribute, and collect from those that are distributing and generating power too. So the 10 trillion that the Minister of Power is talking about is not that government will bring out that money. Government has created an enabling environment for investors to come in. Look at what is happening in Aba. Somebody, because somebody has invested into that there, and they are generating their power and they're distributing it among their own local area. And people are enjoying the power, but they're also paying for it, and there's no need to complain. So we need that as much as that to make, to lighten up Nigeria. Let there be light in Nigeria. We need to 10 trillion. But it's not as if the government will bring out this 10. Government has opened up the window that people can come in, have their licenses, begin to generate, so that it will not just be in the hands of these discos and gencos and all these codes that are not actually effective in Nigeria. So we are just expecting private sector investors. We call on the likes of the Dangote, since he has also helped us in the downstream sector of the oil sector. If he can also venture into the power sector and also bring out funds and invest and generate and distribute, and he collects his money, make money from this sector, and they pay their taxes, we'll have light in Nigeria. It's just that we've not seen so many state governments and also so many persons taking advantage of the Electricity Act that has been signed into law by the president to see that we expand power generation and distribution in Nigeria.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that. So if we look at one of the things that led to this suggestion by World Bank, that was while assessing Nigeria's budget. Nigeria had a very ambitious budget for 2025. And then we had about $75 benchmark for crude oil. That is crude oil per barrel. But right now, there seems to be fluctuations in the price of crude oil per barrel. Crude oil per barrel now is about $65. And since Nigeria was looking for about $75 per barrel initially, so that means definitely there is issue with how we are going to fund the 2025 budget. So what suggestions or what advice would you give to the federal government at this time so that we would not need to be dipping our hands into more ways and means loan?
Thank you very much. I think those are the aims of working towards how to generate revenue for the country. One sustainable way of generating revenue to finance our budget is by taxes. And the Senate, the legislative arm of government, have passed into law the tax reforms bill in order to capture more persons into the tax net, so that we're going to have more revenue generated from taxes. And at the same time, we're also going to let the poor breathe, because we are going to be increasing the benchmark for those that will be paying. The small companies is now going to be 50 million, and for the personal income tax is going to be those that are earning from 800,000 to 1.2 million, per annum. So continuous reliance on oil is not sustainable for us. Whether it's $75 per barrel now or is not, in the future it will not be sustainable. But one sustainable means of generating revenue to finance government budgets is taxes. And each and every one of us will begin to pay our tax. And once we are paying our taxes and government can now generate more revenue, we'll be able to finance the budget. And that's why probably as soon, maybe very soon, Mr. President will sign the tax reforms bill into law. And with that, we are still in May. We should be able to generate more revenue, because more persons will now be captured in the net. We are the revenue, not by increasing taxes, but by widening the tax net, such that those that are not paying will begin to pay taxes. And with that, we are going to increase our tax to GDP ratio, and also we are going to increase revenue for government. So there are sustainable ways that we can still finance the budget.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. And back to the issue of electricity. What proactive steps do you think the federal government needs to take concerning making electricity available to all Nigerians, irrespective of the band that you are on? Is it that they need to start investing massively in alternative sources, or probably it is still the one that we are handling right now that they need to pump more money in it so that we will be able to have stable electricity supply in Nigeria?
For now, government needs to sustain the subsidy that they are still paying for the poor, because they are categorized as the poor people in the country. And as we continue to sustain the subsidy, government should also continue to give foreign investors opportunity to come in to generate power through various sources of power generation, whether through solar, through water, and other source of alternative energy. So what we need now is a transparent sector that will issue out licenses to electricity generators, distributors, and transmitters, so that let investors come in. What we are lacking now is just the investors. People are not really turning in to taking opportunity of this electricity act. And one thing that government should do, if I'm to advise them, to make it attractive, make the sector attractive, possibly government can give tax holidays for investors that are willing to come into our electricity or power sector. You know, tax holidays for 2 years, for 3 years, such that if you are coming to invest into generation of power in Nigeria, either through solar or whatever means, you'll be given a moratorium period of about 2 years or 3 years that you are not going to pay taxes, you are not going to pay any form of royalties and all that. And then that can attract investors. People will come in with their equipment and begin to generate and distribute power. Let's say each state government, or I think Ogun State government also followed suit by pushing out their own electricity act for the state, such that they are looking for investors to come in. So what we lack now is investors. We don't want this monopoly of Gencos and Discos and Trancos. Let the monopoly be broken, and then we'll see that power will come into the country.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. We truly appreciate it. And also, Dr. Felix, what final words do you have to say to the federal government, also Nigeria, regarding this issue of non-stability in our electricity sector?
Okay, so let other players come in. I'm going to, just add to what he has said. Let's break the monopoly of these Gencos, Ikeja, Lagos, this. Let's have players, other players come into the sector and invest in the sector. Because what I understand about these Gencos, they are not investing in the sector. They've taken over and they start complaining of the moribund and asking government to borrow them money. And you know that under Jonathan, they were given funds. They were borrowed funds. They borrowed from federal government again to invest in the sector, and we know they are not investing. So I don't know. We should not have Ikeja electricity generating power to up to Ikorodu. We can have this segmented. Okay, we can have Ikeja, under an investor who is ready to generate power for the just Ikeja. Okay, so Agege can be on their own. Other sectors still can be segmented as long as we achieve 24-hour supply of electricity. It's been done. It's not the rocket science. It should not be difficult for us to do. We can't be on this since 1999, and we keep changing the story every time. And you know that this power is at the center of our productive capacity as a nation. Okay, it's even touching on security. Because another one way of fighting insecurity is that there's 24-hour supply of electricity. Because some of these evil thrive in the night under the darkness. Yes. So when the whole area is lighted up, and the CCTV camera and everybody, even the criminal, know that they are being monitored or being watched somewhere. It's a deterrent. That's one way of fighting insecurity all over the world.
All right, thank you so much for that. And right now, okay, we still also have to thank our guest who joined us virtually. That's Dr. Akintunde Ogunshola, an economist. Many thanks for joining us today on Firecrackers.